You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Following After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Following After Show.
Yeah.
This is perhaps a cheerier version.
Hey, The Following. That's a little CCR, Bad Mood Rising.
Yes, it is.
We couldn't find the version of Bad Mood Rising that
Who was that? But
ended.
it was awesome.
It sounded like Peter Murphy and Bauhaus, or something really dark. But it was awesome. We were here doing the after show for The Following. We're back. Who you don't see is, you don't see Teresa Jane Law, who will be back at some point. But you do see Julia Kearley, who you may recognize with us from our other shows, and she's here with me.
I'm a first-timer on The Following.
Joe Sanfilippo is not here, but he will be here as usual next week. Nando Velasquez is not here in studio, but he will be on the phone maybe right now?
Maybe?
Maybe?
Right now.
Right now. There
hello.
he is. Hi, Nando.
It's Nando. Hey, what's up?
What's up, man? We are back. The Following is back. This is the show that started it all for us, and we are here doing it again.
Got things to say.
Yes. I
listened to our first show.
Our first show a year ago. Over a year ago.
Yeah, our first show was a year ago.
Wow.
And?
We changed so much.
You did. Were we worse or better?
That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not going to know yet.
Well, we're here. Tons and tons and tons of shows later. We're back with The Following. And, what can I say? Season 2 is kind of off with a bit of a bang or a stab or two, if you will. Now, look, I want to set this up a bit. I think that, the elephant in the room is The Following was a show that we're all very excited about. It got a lot of attention. And when it premiered last year, it was Kevin Bacon coming to the big screen, James Purefoy, Kevin Williamson doing a kind of returning to his sort of slasher genre, and we loved this show. It started off great. We loved it. It unraveled over the course of the 20 episodes plus that was on. We sort of felt like in the middle, it got, we had some issues in the middle with the show story-wise. I think that we felt the show sort of ended with I don't want to say ended with a thud, but it didn't really pay off in the way that we wanted it to pay off. And I think that was not just our opinion, that was sort of the general consensus of the internet and the critics and everything else. So when they renewed it for season 2 and it's back now, I was really interested to see how they would, reboot this show, which it looks like they kind of have. This feels a bit of a reboot and a continuation at the same time. And I must say, I do like what I see so far. I don't know, Nando?
Oh my God! Can I just say I agree with you on everything that you just said.
Aww.
So this was my
Never
favorite
happens.
pilot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, this was my favorite show from pilot season back a year ago.
Sure.
And I loved it, and it started to die down, just like you said. And I actually was trashing it. You could tell me I was trashing it toward the end. I got a little optimistic. It's like me as a New York Mets fan. Beginning of baseball season starts, I'm really excited, and the middle of the season goes, and I'm like, oh man, it sucks.
Right.
And then I'm optimistic. Because last night's episode, I loved it. I loved it.
Good. That's good to know. I mean, Julia, so you weren't here last year. No. It was Teresa, and Teresa will be back. Shout out to Teresa Jane Law. But you did watch the show.
I did watch the show.
What was your opinion?
I have the same sentiments you guys did. I was so excited about that show. I was so excited for The Following to start. It started. I was all in 100% episode 2. This is freaking awesome. Nice and gory and fast paced and creepy. And then it started to muddy a little bit. It started to get kind of, dare I say, silly.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed a little Like, come on, you can do better than that.
Okay.
I'm not dumb. I've seen that before.
Sure.
I was underwhelmed with the ending. Again, pretty it was feeling kind of predictable.
Right.
But that being said, I was excited to give it a second chance come season 2. I am once again all in for season 2 here. This first episode was kind of balls to the wall, kind of awesome. They brought back the gore that I love so much, obviously, considering the shows that I'm always raving about.
Yeah.
The bloodier, the better for me, apparently.
At 8 o'clock at
And
night on primetime television.
Yeah. Some of the things are getting away with are extraordinary and disturbing. But it seems not just rebooted, but a little refreshed and recalibrated. Like they knew they couldn't do the same thing the second time around.
Well, we don't. I mean, well, yes, I agree with you on that, but I don't. I have a slightly different take on that. But go ahead.
Anyway, so I loved the episode last night. Right. Totally into it and excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, I agree with you both. My thing is, I feel like that. To what I was hinting at with that is, I feel like that they know exactly what they did well. What Kevin Williamson and what the crew does well, they did it really, really well. I think the thing is try to find out, get in that zone of the things they do well and just do that for a while and sort of work within that framework. I think that's what they tried to do last season. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But as we see with the pilot, we all talk a lot about, we do these shows, we do Hannibal, and we do True Detective, and we do Bates Motel, and we do The Following, and they're all these sort of serial killer-based shows. And as I just said in our other podcast, they all do things slightly differently. And, Hannibal's really good at being sort of ultra stylized and really, they have a very specific mood and feel and theme to what goes on in Hannibal, as does Bates Motel. There's almost a little sort of eerie mystery camp going on there. True Detective is doing its own thing with a very specific sort of slow burn story. What The Following does really well is Kevin Williamson does the slasher stuff really well. So the creepy, like the scene, which we'll get into in a second, the scene in the subway was terrifying to me. And it was terrifying in a way that I forgot things can be terrifying when you're dealing with a Kevin Williamson thing on primetime television. I was completely taken by surprise by not only the gore and the violent nature of what was going on, but just the whole eeriness of the randomness of what that seemed to be was something really scary about that. And it tapped into all of those, slasher tropes, as well as the randomness of what made The Following so scary. And I think that one thing that, all these other shows aren't necessarily out to be scary. I don't think Hannibal is necessarily out to be a scary show. It's out to be just a different kind of show. This show is meant to be scary you. And in a true sense, and it did, and I think that's what it does well, and it didn't disappoint. Nando,
you're a New Yorker.
It's interesting. Yeah. First of all, the subway scene. I wasn't as surprised by it only because they did use that clip in promoting the episode, so I already knew it. But still, as a New Yorker, anytime you see something like that in the subway, that's a big story. That's a big deal.
Have you seen something like that on the subway?
The last 4 times I saw that, I was like, oof.
No, New York's better than that. But anyway, the one thing you're omitting, all of these movies, all of these TV shows, that you were talking about, True Detective, Hannibal, even Bates, I guess you could say, and Blacklist. The stakes are, we're following a murderer who's killing other people.
Right.
Here in The Following, it's Ryan Hardy that's at stake. I mean, they're saying from the beginning, Ryan Hardy can't stop us. This is a message to Ryan Hardy. Everyone that he loves is in danger. Anyone that he knows is in danger because that's how Joe Carroll is going for it. This is a vendetta against him. It's very important to realize that. That's probably why the stakes always feel so hard because you are invested in Ryan Hardy. And it's his case. And anyone around him, is he a follower? Is he not? I really feel like there's still some of that. I still think Mike Weston's a follower. I'm sorry. I still do. I'm going to keep that up.
What is it? What is it?
Nando went on this 20-episode rant about how Agent Mike Weston is a follower.
Oh, okay.
And it was proved to be. It was proved to be.
I'll discuss that when I'm there in studio, but I still think so. I'm going to hold to it. And
All
then
right.
also notice what I thought was really interesting. You know, we're going to start going play by play, but I can't be on the whole show. Is what I rewatched last season. And I just two things that stuck to mind to me was how Carroll just kept saying that whatever that Claire has to die for Ryan to be reborn. And he
Right.
was reborn. You can see in the opening moments. And in fact, Joe Sanfilippo, I don't think he's there because he's in a memorial for Natalie Z.
Natalie Z,
And,
R.I.P. R.I.P. Claire.
For Claire. And then also just about how everything's all Ryan's fault. And just the burden that he shows. I think that continues to be a theme through this show into the second season.
Well, that's interesting.
I'm done with.
Well, yeah, because that was the whole thing of season 1, right? Of like, Ryan, he's the guy who did this, and there's this sort of masterpiece revenge plan that's being played out by Joe Carroll with Ryan Hardy as the center of this sort of Shakespearean slasher opera that he's putting together. Shakespeare never did operas, but you know what I mean. But this
I was going to let that one go. I was going to get that one too.
The Shakespearean, tragedy.
I was going to let the internet deal with that one.
Tragedy that is played out. Sorry, internet. Anyway, but yeah, so Ryan Hardy's center that all of season 1, and again we wonder like, God, okay, how can we take this master plan of Joe Carroll's and this follower, and how can we spin that, which was a very, very specific story that was sort of told, maybe not so well over the course of one season. How do we spin that into a whole new story in season 2? And how you do that is by the nature of being a cult and you having followers, and the show will be called The Following. You have new followers, and a Joe Carroll who may or may not be pulling the strings. Spoiler alert, but we know that we see Joe Carroll, the lumberjack. That
has a full, sexy beard.
Full beard.
I like a guy with some facial hair.
I'm not sure how sexy it was.
He went Dexter.
Dexter? Yeah, no. Well, no spoiler alerts for Dexter. For those of you who, but yeah, he did a full.
Yeah. Spoiler for Dexter, he grew a beard, everybody. That's not a major spoiler.
Well, I'm talking about when I say he goes lumberjack mode at the end.
Dexter grows a beard? Oh, guys!
The end. No, but yes, I think that we don't know that Joe. I guess what I'm saying is Joe Carroll's not necessarily pulling the strings here. We don't know who's pulling the strings. It appears to be these really creepy, good-looking twins. But we'll find out about that at some point.
Yeah, we don't know if we're dealing with a copycat.
It feels
cult's
copycat-ish.
Resurrection.
Well, it feels very copycat-ish, and it feels that Joe Carroll was very much surprised to see this thing being activated. He didn't look like a man who had a master plan from the cabin, but I could be wrong. I don't know. How did that play out to you, Nando? I mean, do you think that Joe Carroll looked like that he was, behind all of this, or is he like just happy that it's happening?
Well, that's really we couldn't really see much of him with that beard, but it's really interesting because I think the one thing that's apparent is that Emma, who looks really hot in her new style, in her colored hair and all punk,
by the way, Joe, who by the way will more than likely be Nando, who more than likely will be in studio with us within the next 3 weeks. But
I'm looking forward to that. But anyway,
yes.
She had no idea about this plan. She doesn't know. It seems like they're different factions. They're all fractured. And I guess they're waiting for their Messiah to come back or something. It's really, really interesting. I don't know if he has a plan right now, but it seems like this will be the catalyst. What the subway did will be the catalyst to start bringing everything all together.
Well, clearly, and Julia, it's the year anniversary. Julia, what do you think? Do you think Joe Carroll is behind this?
Emma seemed to know. Okay, well, as far as I'm concerned, Emma still thinks that Joe Carroll is dead. No, I take that back. I don't know. Emma knows who Carlos is. She went to his house. She had an address, but she seemed shocked by everything that was going down. She seemed clueless about that.
They seem to have a plan of their own.
I'm feeling like maybe this is a subsect of the original cult because Carlos was at Haven. What was that place called?
Havenport. The Lighthouse.
Havenport.
I believe.
Havenport. Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Carlos was at Havenport. Ryan Hardy said so. So he knows Emma. So they have a relationship, but she seems completely blindsided by seeing Ryan Hardy at his apartment, and she just has no idea what's going on. So I think she's sort of been in control for a while because she kind of was Carroll's right-hand woman for a long time and sort of his go-to. And I think we're going to see her losing a sense of control, where on the other hand, we see Ryan Hardy in his new life where I think he's gone out of his way to take control.
Right. Well, let's get into what we saw. I mean, let's get into the episode a little bit because you know, we were left last season with a bit of a cliffhanger, well, actually a giant cliffhanger.
God, as big as they get. At
the end of last season, and you know, with both of our heroes being down, we see the replay of that this season, and we see how that ended up with you know, Ryan Hardy snapping the woman's neck. What was her name, Joe? Nando? I'm sorry.
I believe it was Megan, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Snapping her neck and then going to try to save Natalie Z, Claire. And Claire doesn't make it. And that was a bit of a shocker. I mean, I guess I didn't really read whether or not Natalie Z was signed up for the season. I guess I should have known or figured that out.
Figured it out, the fact that Natalie Z didn't do any interviews.
Right.
We saw
she had no press.
3 or 4 weeks back, but we never saw Natalie Z. And you know what? It's very 24. You know, Kevin Williamson, when he was promoting this originally, said his favorite TV show was 24. And it's very the same thing as 24 happened with Kiefer Sutherland with Jack Bauer. He lost his wife, his love interest, at the end of season 1.
He did, so but the difference is that wasn't really a cliffhanger. That happened in the last episode. That was the last thing you saw was, wow, this happened in the end. I think it's just a very interesting, that's a very cool thing. The whole season 1 was about Claire. Was the center point. It was about this love triangle between Joe and Ryan and Claire. And things seemingly were all okay with Ryan and Claire being together and everything being wonderful. And when we see them both get stabbed, and it looked pretty bad for Claire at the end of season 1, it didn't look like she was going to make it. You know, it's just kind of weird to see that all of this, you know, Joe Carroll called it. Like, all of this was like, you know, Claire had to go and she went, and now it's like he won. Like, at the end of the day, when you go through the whole of season 1, well, Joe Carroll won. He won season 1. Season 1 goes for Joe Carroll. I mean, he pretty much, you know, did his whole plan. Couple of hiccups. He had his son and his wife for a while. Couple of hiccups there. He executed everything and everyone in the way he wanted to do it, almost. He got away, didn't die, and Claire, he got his revenge on Claire. The end. And Ryan Hardy is tortured still. So, I don't know, man. I mean,
well, but in his perfect world, wouldn't Ryan be dead as well?
Yes, in his perfect world, Ryan would be dead, and Ryan was supposed to be dead.
Yeah, they'd both be dead.
That's how it was supposed to go, and maybe that's why Natalie Z, well, she didn't know. I mean, maybe that's why Valerie Curry was so surprised. Because it just felt like the plan was that Ryan was supposed to die.
But this is a year later.
Yeah, she has to know that he's alive.
Yeah, she's well aware. Of course she's well aware. She's in New York. Everybody's back in New York. Nice and comfy. What?
Everyone's in New York except for bearded Joe Carroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but anyway, so Natalie Z's gone. It was really, really sad. We can only imagine what a horrifically, terrifyingly, you know, terrible year that was for Ryan Hardy to have to make it through that. And we see that he's now sober and got his shit together, presumably.
He's in shape.
He's in shape.
He's running, and he gets hit by a car, and you don't hear that little heartbeat thing that they kept using in season 1 to say, oh, he's got a pacemaker, he's fragile, be careful.
Yeah, well, this is kind of back to my reboot thing. I feel like that there were some devices in season 1 that they leaned on heavily, and that felt like they were going to mean something that didn't necessarily pay off. And I think one of those was the pacemaker heart situation. And it just feels like this year they've kind of already like gotten away from it. Julia goes, didn't he have a heart thing?
Wait a second.
What happened to his heart
thing? What was his heart thing?
But it seems like that they've, maybe have downplayed that or abandoned that. They cleaned house with the Natalie Z, obviously Claire character, Claire storyline. All the other stuff they've cleaned. They've kind of like reset. Joey is tucked away with his grandmother. They wrap that up somewhere else. We have a whole new, not so angry black guy who's the head of the FBI this time. It doesn't seem very angry, but he may have some time to be angry. A new hot Latino agent who's there.
Gina Mendez.
Agent Mendez. We have Ryan Hardy's niece, Max Hardy.
Jessica Stroop.
The plucky Max Hardy.
She is plucky
She's
indeed.
plucky. The plucky Max Hardy who's there to help, as a sidekick to solve crimes, maybe. But what is interesting to me is that when we do see Ryan Hardy in his new life and his sponsor and everything else, his apartment is bright. It's like, The Following is so dark and his apartment's so dreary, and he always had that, the disheveled tie, the loosened tie, and we talked about the dark suit and the whole thing. This time he had a nice bright shirt on. He was in a nice bright apartment. He was in shape. Like, it seemed like the new Ryan Hardy.
But it didn't happen overnight, which is what I'm very interested in, because they show that flashback. He's dealing with the death of Claire. He's dealing with he's having to go in front of the grand jury because he maybe or maybe not killed a defenseless man, according to them. When he shot, I forgot the guy's name, Alex, I think. I don't know. When he shot the follower in the woods with Mike. Mike has been calling, trying to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
Mike needs to talk man to man.
Mike's effed up.
Mike is he's hurting, but he gets stonewalled by him every step of the way, when he's drunk and when he's sober. He's giving him nothing, and I wonder what the moment in time was where he, 8 months ago or whatever it was, decided to knock off his partying and clean up his act and go all Homeland board and follow Joe
the big
Carroll.
board.
So
you know how I love a big board.
Something sparked in him where he believes Joe Carroll to be alive.
Right. I mean, I don't know. So I'm sure we'll see that as it reveals. But what do you think of the new Ryan Hardy, Ryan? I mean, Nando. I've called you Joe. I've called you Ryan. You're Nando.
Okay. You guys said it. I mean, I love what's going on here. I kind of like the fact that he's got this secret bat cave, and his niece Max is like Batgirl, coming on in to help them out. They got their devices. It's really funny to see this secret Hardy task force at work here. And again, I mean, it's really interesting. I really like this new. I like this new Ryan Hardy. I like the fact that he jogs, that he can do a high-speed foot chase and get hit by a car and get back up gingerly. I mean, he's not the Terminator, but still, that he can get back up and keep going. I like this. I like seeing the shots of Claire and Annie Paris's character, it escapes me right now, in that room. I like that that's his goal, to get the rest of the Carolers and to get Joe and to find out where Joe is.
I like to see him smile a little bit, and it looks like he's finally living a life. Yes, he is. On the outside, at least. On the outside, he's living a life.
Yeah.
Does he have a girlfriend?
No, we don't know. They hinted, Max hinted at, like, so-and-so's hot. And he's like, meh.
Yeah. But it's just nice to see him living a life out in the world, in the sun, out in the open, even though behind the scenes he's in his, like you said, his little bat cave with his Homeland map, and he's getting down to business.
Right.
He's gone rogue.
And as a New Yorker, I just love the episode being in New York. I don't know. He's teaching at a criminal college, which I'm guessing they probably won't say it's John Jay, but I'm picturing Don Jay. The subway attack, him running around by Central Park. I love that kind of feel for a TV show, instead of looking at it and thinking, oh, it must be a studio lot. I love it. I love the fact that I recognize all those places. And it just seems, him being in New York, it seems like he's alive. He's vibrant. I love it.
Yeah. I concur.
Yep. So, but we see, he is alive, is vibrant, but we see that he is, the back to being sort of the dark Hardy. Like, he's been on the trail of these guys, obviously, for the past year. So when this all went down in the subway, it was almost like, not that he was waiting for it to happen, but he never thought Carroll was dead. He never, he's been trying to track down, we saw Valerie Curry's picture on the big wall, and he's been trying to track all the rest of these people down and put together the pieces of the puzzle. So it was almost as if when that big anniversary murder happened, it was really the break that Ryan Hardy needed to sort of go out and find Joe Carroll. In a weird way, it was the break he needed. So he was able to sort of go out and start investigating properly, which is interesting. I thought it's kind of an interesting way to reboot this.
I think he realized that following the rules of the FBI isn't going to cut it when it comes to Joe Carroll.
Right.
And he needs to take matters into his own hands because they were stonewalling him last season every step of the way. They wouldn't even give him a gun for the majority of it.
Oh, and he had no gun. No,
yeah, he
first,
just did a lot of chasing people.
Like
and that doesn't work.
Okay, the Scooby-Doo flashlight.
Yeah, that's not going to work. It doesn't work.
I think it really also adds to the whole FBI WTF. You know, I think even he realized how stupid the FBI was being. So you can't trust anyone but yourself.
That's the truth. And
very true. Very true. So, okay, so now we have, I do want to get into, we talked a little bit about Mike, but before we get into further characters, I want to thank everyone for joining us at iTunes. We are back. Thank you for downloading us. You already made us a top 10 show again, the 10th most downloaded show on AfterBuzz before we even did a new episode.
Amazing.
So it sounds like people were sort of going back and trying to catch up in anticipation for this new season. So we appreciate you doing that. I hope you're downloading this now. We will all be back in full force next week. All 4 or 5 of us, or however many of us is going to be, we'll all be here talking following next week. And we're glad to have you. And please rate us and continue to support us. We really appreciate it. We also want to mention we have a separate Twitter feed for this show at Following Buzz. So if you want to follow us on at Following Buzz, that is the specific Twitter feed for this following podcast. And check us out on YouTube and everything else. Anyway, so I do want to get into, we're talking a little about these twins and that super creepy murder / staging the woman. Like, again, back to Kevin Williamson and the scaring. That thing was creepy as hell. That scared the crap out of me. The notion of this guy, and he's all cheery. He's kind of got that Christian Bale, American Psycho, kind of like, good-looking cheer to him, yet super sinister and scary. Those guys are the worst.
The worst.
The super hot serial killers who are all smiley.
Makes me nervous.
And then there's 2 of them.
Makes me nervous every time I meet a hot guy. I was like, are you going to be crazy? Are you going to
never know.
dance with my corpse?
You never know. But that was creepy. I mean, what do you think of that, Nando?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. I love that American Psycho analogy. It was like a very Christian Bale analogy. And I love that opening scene with the girl getting into the elevator and going up and seeing him again. And it really was a good twist for us because we all thought it was the same guy.
Yeah.
Till the second one comes out of that shower.
Right.
One thing I thought that was really interesting about them, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe their names were Mark and Luke.
Yep.
Which is two of the books of the New Testament. So I thought that was a little creepy in itself.
Sure.
That one stood out to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really interested and invested in these characters and seeing who they are and seeing more about their psyche because it looks already like they are 2 different sides of a coin. It's almost kind of like the Aiden Canto, Nico Turatelli characters. They're little pseudo-gay characters where one's a little more conflicted than the other. So I'm really curious to see if that becomes a mirror of those 2 from last season.
And frankly, the one they've already set some personalities up, right? They've got the one who is the dominant one, and the one guy who seems to be, Luke's the dominant one, right?
Yes.
And then Mark was sort of like, well, take it easy, and then. So we've already had that entire dynamic set up, which is very reminiscent of last season with Nico and our other guy.
Aiden, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, and this French girl's kind of like Valerie Curry's character, like Emma. It's almost like this is the new trio that we're going to be following, apparently.
I cannot wait, and you know what's going to happen. I can't wait when Emma gets a load of these twins and to see how the 3 of those folks interact.
Maybe a little taste of her own medicine, huh?
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, she's pretty good. She's a pretty strong person and pretty manipulative.
Yeah, she is that.
And hot, by the way, that Valerie Curry.
And as is our scary man, Sam Underwood. That's who's playing Luke, and I'm presuming Mark as well. Actually, look that up.
Right.
One actor or 2
Is
actors?
it one? I thought it was 2, but I guess
thought it was 1.
I tried to look it up too. I didn't know. I mean, Nando, do you have any insight as is it 1 guy or 2? Because I really thought it was they're actual twins, but
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to look it up myself, so I couldn't tell you. We'll know for sure by next episode.
Right.
Yeah, well, on the Homeland IMDb page, they only list him. But they list him only as Luke, not Luke and Mark. We'll have to investigate that. But we do know him from the Sam Underwood. Am I saying, was it Sam? Yeah, Sam Underwood. Seen him in, what have we seen him in? Dexter and Homeland. He was Dana's boyfriend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this kid. I like his work.
Yeah, he's interesting.
He's looking good, first and foremost.
Yeah.
He's probably too young for me.
Yeah.
But he's looking great. And he's freaking scary.
Yeah.
There's stuff going on behind those eyes.
Well, he was dark in Homeland, obviously, and he was dark in this one, and and I'm assuming he was dark in Dexter.
But he plays crazy well.
Yeah, and a weird, subdued, crazy. He's a very interesting character, and I'm really glad to see that they're coming up with these new characters who I'm compelled. Like, I was ready. I mean, like I said, I kind of went in with my arms crossed, like, all right, here we go, and then I was, pleasantly terrified and pleasantly surprised, and I want to know about these two crazy serial killers who pose the girl around and asking her questions and dancing with her, and it's awful.
It really was disturbing.
It was very disturbing. What about this new? Let's talk a little bit about Mike. I want to get into sort of where we think Mike Weston is, because you mentioned this, Nando, that you think he's somehow still a follower, which I think is fairly ridiculous. But I will say there's definitely room for his character to have a turn, because he went through some shit in season 1. We see that he's still dealing with some level of PTSD, from that experience. His mentor, remember Ryan Hardy is his mentor. Don't forget, like, he was very much like, really wanting to be just like Ryan Hardy. And now he's not only is Ryan Hardy disappointed him on a professional level, but a personal level as well. And what's that going to do to him?
Well, I mean, first of all, now that Claire is gone, the true bromance can begin between Mike and Ryan.
Maybe.
So there's that. And, yeah, I'm kind of half joking about him being a follower, but I think there is room for him to be a follower still. I mean, there still is the fact maybe he can be a sleeper, who still is he's supposed to keep tabs on Ryan for whatever this master plan may be. It's still a possibility.
Right.
I really do think that that's what's so good about this show. There still is. I mean, you could write on YouTube and say I'm crazy if for doing it and for talking about it. It's kind of funny. But I do think that there is always a possibility for anybody in this show to really turn, to really be found to be a follower. And it's not completely far-fetched, which is what's great about this show.
Yeah, you can never really count anyone out. That's for damn sure when it comes to Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll. Don't mention his name.
There's a reason.
Don't you dare mention Pete Carroll's name in this podcast.
If anyone's going to lead a cult, it's him. Okay, all right, I got it out.
Joe
Thank
Carroll.
you. Joe Carroll. Pete Carroll. I can't do it. It's your San Francisco right there.
Yes.
I think, like I said, you can't discount anyone. His followers look like you and me and you and everybody else. But I think I felt for Mike in this episode. He was really, like you said, like reaching out to his mentor. He needed help. He went to hell and back on this case with him and stood behind him when a lot of people wouldn't. He was even willing to lie in front of the grand jury for him. He was going to perjure himself. He was going to say that he took the handcuffs off. He was trying to prepare Hardy for that, so they were on the same page. And he didn't want to make him lie either. He said, all you have to say is, I don't remember. Yeah. That's it. I'll do everything else.
Why do we think, this is for you too, Nando, why do we think Hardy is so, distancing himself so much from Mike? I think, well, why is he doing that? Like, why is he not, embracing him or saying he's sorry or even telling him, you know what, I can have you in my life because everyone around me gets hurt, so I'm just. Why can't you just say it? Why is this?
Well, Mike's a company man now. Like, he's in.
Well, I know, but there's there's that scene that was like, nice talking to you, Mike. Like, it was almost like an FU, and I don't know what.
But
what
he's
the
not
motivation
distancing
is.
himself from his niece.
No, well, his niece is an FBI. That's very true. I don't know, Nando. What's going on there? What's going on with Mike and Hardy?
It's a guilt thing. I think it's just a guilt thing with him. I think it's a part of his life he wants to close the door or protect. That's what I think. I agree with you, Julie. It's like, it's interesting how he pushes Mike away, but then he has this alternate life with his niece and his sponsor and inviting this girl over from AA that may or may not be a love interest. You know, it's really interesting, but I think it all comes down to guilt of the past, and maybe not recognizing, and also maybe a little distrust too. Just obviously they had a lot of animosity that whole first season as well. And Mike is creepy. Come on, Mike is creepy. He kind of likes Ryan just a little bit too much. Just a little bit.
Right. But and he's very serious this season. Like, he's very well. It's also interesting that, like, you know, one thing we didn't mention is that, you know, the FBI has went and found Mike, and in the very same way that the FBI went and found Hardy to pull him in as a consultant, you know, or vice versa. I mean, like, but I feel like this the way that Mike Weston is coming in and helping the FBI in a consulting manner is exactly the same way that Hardy did in season 1. So, you know, his dream is fulfilled. I mean, he's really trying to live in Hardy's footsteps, and he's actually doing it. He's the new Ryan Hardy. He's out there. He's working the cases, and he's actually the guy. And it's really interesting that, you know, he really misses his partner, and he wants the help of Hardy, but or the approval of Hardy still, but he's not getting it. I don't know why that's happening. I don't know why Hardy is so hard on our poor Iceman. I don't know.
Poor Iceman.
Poor Iceman.
Only time will tell, boys.
So okay.
He needs a huggy hug.
A huggy hug.
He needs
Bring it in. Bring it in.
Okay, so what do we think? I mean, this is kind of prediction-y, but I just want to, you know, before we like wrap up here, like, how do we think these we're gonna bring these factions together? I mean, obviously Valerie Curry is gonna be back involved in the mix. We have these other the faction of the twins and the French woman. We have Joe Carroll out in the woods. Like, how are they all gonna come together? What do you think is gonna happen there? And will we see Ryan Hardy do his sort of like detective agency, Homeland, big board thing on the side with his plucky sidekick niece, or will he eventually join back forces with the FBI and share the information? Like, how do you think this plays out? First you, Nando.
I honestly think, I mean, they're all going to come together. I love the fact that it seems to be a manhunt for Joe Carroll, and it's not just Ryan, it's Emma that's now on a manhunt for Joe Carroll.
Right.
So I really love that aspect of it, and I think Emma is going to be, I mean, she was definitely a hit last season, and I really think she's going to have a major part to play in connecting the dots, and if anything, she's going to definitely be a wrench for Ryan Hardy as he is pursuing Joe Carroll. And I also think that he's going to be a wrench for Joe Carroll because don't forget, you know, she had a little bit of a fling with him, and he scorned her. And it's been a year, and she hasn't known what's up with him. So really, it's going to be like the interesting thing is going to be what's going to happen when Emma and Carol meet up. I do think that the FBI is going to be involved. I really love what you said about that the angry black man boss. I think he's not really angry, but he's just angry enough.
Well, you know, there's plenty of time for him to get really angry.
Oh yeah,
there's plenty of time for that. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, but I'm definitely looking forward to this season. I'm surprised. I really love the fact that I'm so surprised at how much I missed this show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, it's a good show. I just said it. It's a good show. We're happy it's back. But that being said, let's jump into some predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Look at that drop. That's a hot drop.
Yeah,
where'd that come from?
I had no idea what that was.
Julia.
All right. I actually have some predictions.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Shocking, I know. I think, first of all, we didn't even talk about Connie Nielsen. Who showed up on this episode. She was the lone survivor of the subway attack. I think she's going to become a love interest for Hardy. Maybe it's suspicious that she was the only one who survived. Maybe. I also think that that there's going to be something up with niece Max's boyfriend.
Oh,
the boyfriend from
chef,
Sacramento, who is the pastry chef, who came out of the blue, and the only thing she says about him when he says, "I like him," she goes, "You do? I wish he were a little angrier." Interesting.
All right.
So those are just a couple of my predictions. I also think that some shit's going to go down when it comes to Emma. I think she's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Really pissed at Joe for not contacting her, for not including her And I think she will be a big problem for him.
Nando, prediction. Still there? Gone? It's all right.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Go.
Well, first of all, right before predictions, I just want to say I love how they called how they call the followers the Carolers, because we started that last season before they did that. So I wanted to bring that up. And then another mechanic. I think the last episode of season 1 from us was incorrectly labeled on Castle. So I told a couple of people I thought they were all there. So if you wanted to listen to the last show, it should be hopefully back on by now, or let us know. But as far as predictions, I agree. I mean, Emma's going to be scorned. I really am looking forward to seeing what she does. And I think Connie Nielsen, I really don't like her. There's a reason why she's alive. I agree with you. She would not be the first person to maim herself, to draw in the trust of Ryan Hardy. She would not be the first person to do that.
Yeah.
So red flags all over that woman. I agree. That's my prediction.
Well, my prediction is very quick and easy. It's Connie Nielsen, love her, but she's clearly a bad guy. That's the way to Ryan Hardy's heart is a damsel in distress. He went to go apologize to her because she was the only one left.
The only one left.
You know, we'll see how that plays out, but I think we all know how it's going to play out. So we'll see how that goes. That's it. That's it for us for this week. We'll be back next week. They have a special 2-hour episode, not of this show, but of the following. I think they're just going to replay the first one.
I think so.
And then replay a new one. So we'll be back to recap that. I'm Joe Braswell. You can find me on Twitter at Joe K. Braswell, and also on Instagram at Joe Braswell. Julia, where can we find you?
Again, on Twitter at Julia Carley, JuliaCearley. Also on Instagram, and right here at AfterBuzz on let's see, what is this? This is The Following. We have The Blacklist, True Detective, and coming up, Hannibal.
Nando.
Nando's up, but you can find Nando on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel, and you can catch all of us next week for the Following Episode 2 after show.
Thank you very much, Steve Lemieux. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Nice. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.